Hey, hey, hey! Good evening, good evening, good evening. Oh, I forgot to grab my water bottle. Well, shoot. Or good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Hey, Paul. Hey, Brian. Hey, Troy. So this is the new live stream time for now. According to 50-something people who voted in the poll, this was a better time. So we're trying it out now. Let's see what happens. There. I have that bright light behind me. So, yeah, lots happening. Hey, Spy Hunter. I made a trip out to Portage Glacier where my previous drone died. I got my new drone, and I was gonna check and see if there was any chance I could see my the remnants of my previous Mavic 2 Pro. No, there's not. I flew the new drone over looking straight down, and the crevasse it is in goes way, way, way down, like hundreds of feet. And there's a river that flows underneath there, so whatever was left of my Mavic 2 Pro, the first one I had, is long gone. I mean, pieces of it will be coming out eventually, but yeah. So a couple of weeks ago, Paul, I was flying out by Portage Glacier. Actually, it happened the day I was filming that. I was filming the how to film yourself cinematically, and yes, my drone and an ice spire, a tower of ice, connected, and that was it. So it's deep down inside of the glacier. So, but I got a replacement one. So, let's see. Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. Hey, Andrea. Let's see. Yeah, so that, and then recently, well, today or yesterday, last night, released my review of these little guys here, which are really, really cool. They've kind of become my go-to wireless mic setup, which is they're really great. The big news, of course, is, well, Paul knows this. If you didn't see, Amazon was having a sale on the Sony 85 1.8, and they were selling it for $200 something, which is insane because this is already a great value lens at $450, $500. But they were selling it for $250, which is fantastic. And I wish I'd picked up a couple, but I did not. That, and it looks like Sony is not releasing the A7S III yet. It looks like the next camera they're going to release is the A9 II, which will be ridiculously expensive at probably like $4,500 or something like that. And it's a bummer. I mean, the A9 is a great camera. But it also is like a photography aimed camera with some video features, where I'm looking for a more of a video camera with photography features, and that's what the A7S III should be. Is it should have lots of very good video qualities with the ability to take decent pictures. So anyway, hey Journeyman, hey Mark H, yeah, thanks. It was fun. That, for some reason, that review, it took me weeks to put that together. It took me much longer than normal. Part of it was the weather we've been having, the wildfires we've been having up here were a challenge, and then those are finally clearing up, and it's been raining a lot now, which also brings its own challenge of sorts of getting out in the rain. And so that was a really challenging one to film, but it was good. So let's see. Troy, yeah, it was a super short. It was a super short sale, and I don't even know why they were doing it. But it was also interesting because they said like they ship in 2 to 3 months. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I know like on what was it, Amazon Prime Day, people were picking up A7 IIIs for like $100 and stuff like that. So I don't know, it's just one of those flukes in Amazon's system, and they generally seem to honor them, or what. But anyway, or somebody had a massive surplus of 85 1.8s out there. Yeah, anyway. Andre, you want to buy a wide-angle lens, trying to decide between the Zeiss Batis 18 or the 17 to 28 Tamron. did I have my hands on the Zeiss? I don't have the Zeiss. I have used it briefly, and it's a fantastic lens. Of course, you're at a fixed focal range, which does two things. One, it gives you that much more, you have a much larger aperture ability, so you can let in more light, so it's really good for low light. It has good focusing ability, but you can't zoom at all. I don't really know if that's necessary on wide-angle lenses. Like, I don't zoom my Tamron very often. I generally leave it on the pretty wide end and just kind of leave it there. So, yeah. I can't remember how much the Zeiss Batis is right now. It's, let's see. Because the Zeiss is a really great lens. And, the Tamron is too, but... Yeah, 1200. Well, I mean, if you have, it's only a 2.8. I forgot. I thought it was a 1.8 for some reason. So, yeah. I mean, you'd get great pictures with either one, great pictures and great video with either one. Personally, I'd stick with the. I'd stick with the. The Tamron, just to have that little bit of extra flexibility is nice, and it produces really great images. If you're looking for a really super sharp, high quality, really wide angle, but you're doing mostly just photo work or some video work, but mostly where you're not doing yourself, then the Laowa 15mm is fantastic. It's a really good lens. So no, it isn't Polar. My name is the same as my YouTube channel. Let's see. Sorry to hear that, Spy Hunter. Really very sorry to hear that, man. No Polar, and you keep it up, you're gonna get banned. So, Troy, yeah, the Laowa 15 is that's a great lens. But, and I have a review of it on the channel, obviously. It is all manual, and it doesn't have any weather sealing. So it's extremely well built. That I'm not worried about, but it is all manual. So you have to be very comfortable with focusing manually. Personally, man, the Tamron 17 has been just absolutely fantastic since I got it. I have run into a weird bug with the focus, and Paul, I'm curious to see if you have this issue too. Thanks, Brian. The bug with mine is that if I have it focused and then I zoom, like I zoom in or I get really close focus when I'm zoomed in and then I zoom back out, sometimes it won't grab focus again, and it reminds me of like the I don't want to say the bug, but the issue that the Tamron 28-75 had before they updated the firmware. It's similar, and I haven't been able to nail it down. There's a Tamron rep in town next week, so I'm going to go down and show it to him and talk to him about it and see if I can't get some answers, because, beyond that little annoyance, and it's a real easy, just quick reset, the lens is fantastic. I really like the image quality that comes out of it. And honestly, there are raw files on my website that you can go download that have like the Sony G Master 2.8, the Laowa 15, and the Tamron all sitting same exact spot, taking the same exact photos. If you look at those photos, except for in a couple of cases, I think the Tamron does better than the G Master in overall image quality. And I know a lot of people are going to think that I'm a heretic for saying that, but that's where it is. And there was a gentleman who made a couple comments on my channel, and he and I got engaged in a discussion about the G Master, and he brought up some really good points of how when they designed the G Master and built the G Master lenses way back in the day, like 10 years ago or whatever, they didn't design them and build them to resolve for such high megapixel cameras. Not to say that they can't, but the cameras, the sensors are starting to push the limits of what the current optics, or at least the optics that were designed years ago, are able to handle in quality, which is amazing. Like the Tamron, I think, if I remember right, they say it'll resolve up to 100 megapixels, which is insane. But we're headed there. I mean, not that much longer. Mark H, the Tamron right now goes for $8.99, but I saw recently there was a discount. I think it was on Amazon for $50, so it was $8.50 on Amazon, if I remember right. So yeah, about the $800, $900 range is about where it is, and it's kind of sold out for a while. It's been sold out for a while, and so I have a feeling that people will be. It's going to be like the 28 to 75 lens, where it's just insanely popular for a long time, and it'll be on back order for a long time, where people will be waiting for it. That deal is no longer active. That's too bad. That was a really good deal. For $3,700, you can buy the 17 to 28, the 28 to 75, and an A7 III on Amazon right now. Anyway. So, let's see. That's awesome, Spy Hunter. And yeah, this is now strictly focused on filmmaking, photography, Alaska, drone stuff, stuff like that. So, but that's awesome. Glad to hear it. So I got the new drone. I kayaked out to Portage Lake, Portage Glacier with a friend, and I did shoot one video that I was going to play for y'all real quick, if you're willing to watch it. It's been interesting because we've had such a hot summer, and watching the glacier change this summer has been really, really rapid. I'm curious to see what it does over the winter, because that glacier moves about a foot a day, I think, if I remember right. It's about a foot a day. So it'll be interesting to see how much it pushes back out into the lake this winter, after this summer was like really intense heat and melting. So, all right, here's the video. That's it. Super short, super sweet. But that big crevasse, I'll have to play it again. The big crevasse that's directly behind where he and I are standing, back in that, like back up inside the glacier a couple hundred feet, and down at the bottom of it somewhere is my other Mavic 2 Pro. So here it is. So you see the crevasse that's directly off to the left of us. That big deep blue line back in there. Somewhere down inside there is a Mavic 2 Pro, all alone in the ice, waiting to be found by future archaeologists that will probably wonder what in the world somebody was doing. So it was great. And I will say it was the one and only time that I have ever had a tailwind paddling on that lake. So going out to the glacier, we had a pretty stiff headwind, 10 knots or something like that. So it wasn't too scary wave-wise or anything like that, but almost every time I've kayaked out on that lake, the wind will be blowing against me on the way out, and then while I'm out there, it'll switch, and it'll be blowing against me on the way back. And this time, we had a very nice 7-knot tailwind, and man, does that make that trip go fast when you have a really powerful tailwind and you're paddling. It just cruises by. It was awesome. Hey, Richard, welcome to the stream. You're headed to Southeast Alaska this week. Fantastic. Should be great. Our fall colors are coming in strong and fast, and they don't last long. So in Southeast Alaska, you might be hitting them just right. Depending on where you're going, and I don't know if you do drone stuff at all, but definitely keep an eye on where you are, because there's a lot of national parks, and those are illegal. We have lots of small planes that fly around low, so you want to keep your ears open and stuff, but you should find some fantastic picture spots. Spy Hunter, you bet it'll be there 50 years. No, man, that glacier moves. It pushes everything out. And so where it is now, like, well, I thought it'd be out in a month, but after looking at it again, I'm guessing it probably will be more like 2 months maybe. So right, like November-ish, I'm guessing November-ish, that area will have pushed forward enough and start cabbing off enough. Now, whether or not there are any pieces of the drone left that are worth retrieving at that point will be a whole nother question, and whether or not it will be safe enough to get close enough to try and retrieve anything at that point will be a whole nother discussion. Likely both of those scenarios are just no, it won't be safe enough and I won't try and retrieve it. I would love to get the SD card. That's all I want. I would love to get the SD card to get the original 4K files there. Richard, you're cruising to Juneau, Skagway, Ketchikan, and then headed across the border. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, those are some beautiful places. Skagway is really cool. That's a really neat place to visit. I've been there. It's been a while, but I've been there. Juneau's really, really neat. If you get the chance to go see the Mendenhall Glacier ice caves, I think they're doing tours right now, but I'm not positive. But if you get the chance to go see the Mendenhall Glacier ice caves, do it. It is just fantastic. I know there were companies that did kayaking trips across the lake, and you got to go see the ice caves. And I think there's a couple of helicopter companies in town that will also take you over and drop you off on the glacier, and you get to walk around. But yeah, if you get the chance, do the ice cave tour. Ice caves are something that is so unique and so different from anything else you'll experience in the world. It's just really mind-boggling. And until you experience one, it's hard to say. It's hard to explain what it's like. It's just fantastic. I have been trying to talk to a virtual reality camera company that produces one of these really high-end VR 3D cinema cameras to loan me one so that I can take one down into an ice cave and this winter and just show you, so people could experience it if you have VR goggles and stuff. But so far, negotiations have been rough on that end. So anyway, it's not for lack of them not wanting to. It's more like trying to communicate like what's possible, what's not possible, stuff like that. So anyway, but good, Richard. That'll be absolutely worth it. It'll be fabulous. Fantastic. Mark H. Hey, Al, thanks. Yes, so I've got 5 ice caves picked out right now that I've got my eye on. 2 of them are in Portage Glacier, which is a little bit more sketchy. I'll wait a bit on those because that glacier is pretty actively moving, but there's some great ice caves there I scoped out yesterday. I didn't go inside because they're melting a lot right now. Everything's moving a lot. And even though you can look at an ice cave and see that there's, 70 feet of ice above it, and it's just one big solid chunk, it's very hard to tell if that whole entire chunk that you think is solid is going to shift at any point. And so it's just when they're dripping, it's best to stay out. In this area. Now, like in Juneau, other places where there are ice caves, they've found places that are safe pretty much year-round. And it all has to do with the glacier. It all has to do with where it's moving and how it's moving. And so, if you go on a guided trip, you're relatively safe there. So, Richard, talking to you, I don't want to freak you out because those ice caves do drip. But anyway, that's in my case where I am and what I'm doing. That's where I am. So, and then there's 3 ice caves that I've been watching really closely in Byron Glacier, which is the place that I've been in ice caves before, that I think will be really good this winter. So I've got a couple of plans to film a couple of tutorial videos in those ice caves. So should be fun. Should be really fun when I get those videos done. If you feel a drip, get your legs moving. Actually, the drips aren't so bad. It's if you hear cracking, a lot of cracking, then it's time to move. Because generally, preceding a big chunk of ice falling, generally, not all the time, but generally there'll be a bunch of popping and cracking sounds, and generally you have a few to, 10 or 15 seconds to get out of the way, maybe. Not all the time. Sometimes you get no warning at all, and a piece just comes down. So, yeah, that's it. So that trip, the other day, we went up and sat on the rock in the center there, which would have been to the right of that video, and drank coffee and waited for a couple hours for a piece of the glacier to fall off. All we saw was little pieces. Little pieces. When I say little pieces, I mean like pieces the size of, Mini Coopers, stuff like that. So, but it was nice. It was a nice day, and it's back to rain and wet right now. So, let's see. What else? So that's going on. I've got one more trip out there planned. This coming weekend, I have a trip to a glacier called Bear Glacier planned, if the weather holds. We're going to go out. Bear Glacier is a glacier that most of it's in the national park, the Kenai Fjords National Park, but then a whole bunch of it and a big, huge lagoon that's filled with icebergs is not in a national park and not in a national forest either. So we're going to, me and a friend are going to go out there and try and, do some fun stuff between the icebergs next weekend. But that's weather dependent, and it's a bit of a trip to get out there. I think it's 18 miles out on the water, out on the ocean, to get out there from Seward. So yeah, we'll see how that works. If we can get out there, it'll be fantastic. I know lots of people have gone out there, and anytime they've been out there, it's been great. So I'll be doing that and hopefully filming a couple of videos there while I'm at it, while I'm out there. I'm a little behind on filming videos. I feel like I finally got caught up on editing videos, but I feel like I'm a little behind on filming. I need to get moving, film some more videos. So, and then we're going to enter this period of time where it's not good to be outside because all the leaves are off the trees. Everything's dead and barren looking, but there's no snow yet. So when we hit that weather and when it's really, just there's no good reason to go outside and film, I'll be doing more of like some of the tutorials that I've been wanting to do, which is like playing with lighting, editing drone videos, putting videos together, some more slightly indoor-ish videos until we start getting some snow and the outside looks decent again, which will be a few weeks. Well, it could be a few weeks. It could not. I mean, it could snow tomorrow. It changes quickly. So, but yeah, Bear Glacier will be a lot of fun. So, yeah. And yeah, what else was I gonna... Oh, I do have a Ronin SC accessory video coming up pretty soon too. Forgot about that one. So, yeah. Thanks, Mark. Really appreciate that. Mark H says, keep up the great drone videos, tutorials, and reviews. Thanks. I appreciate that a lot, man. Yeah, I'm doing an editing video. I need to do another flying video, like how to fly and not how to fly, but just how to set up drone shots that really look amazing. Because I see lots of drone footage out there, and it's not that it's bad. It's just that if they did a couple of little things differently, it would look much, much better. And a lot of it has to do with just framing in general. And but because a drone is a mobile platform, it's moving. You can really use that to your advantage. To like that video I showed earlier, this one here, you can really use it to your advantage. Let me mute this. Use it to your advantage to pull back and reveal stuff. And I don't see that happening very often. I wish people would use it more to their advantage. Like I see kind of like the high up looking down view a lot and the flying forward view a lot, but not really anything that like just kind of grabs you. And so I'm going to talk about that a little bit. And then I have been wanting to do this for forever, and I was going to film it, and then my drone found a glacier and a crevasse and disappeared into it. So now that I have it back again, I can do it. But there's a way to set your drone up to film and then go back and edit it in a way that makes it feel much more like a helicopter shot. Because if you've seen helicopter shots, like the motion, the movement that's happening in a helicopter shot is much faster than any of our consumer drones can fly. And so there's a way to do that that makes it look like a helicopter shot and feel like a helicopter shot, but you're filming with your regular drone. And there's a couple little things. So partly it's I need to go out and film the footage to show the difference between the two. And then partly I need to go out and test my settings to make sure I'm thinking through this correctly in my head before I put a tutorial video out there about how to do that. Because, yeah. Anyway, and I'm not talking about like tipping back and forth and stuff like that. That's pretty easy to do in post, but I'm just talking about like the motion, the movement through the video will be great. So, hey Cardoso, welcome to the stream. Yeah, it's been fun. Yeah, so I can't remember. There was something else I was going to talk about, and I can't remember. Oh, this is it. So I also, I guess sort of in keeping with, I did the review about this audio, wireless microphone setup. I do want to do this winter, especially, I want to do a whole series of videos about audio and the importance of audio. And if Al's still on the stream, he'll attest to this, because you can get away with really poorly recorded video, but if your audio is good, people will put up with it. On the other hand, if you have the best looking video in the world, but you have terrible audio, people will tune out so fast because they just won't put up with bad audio. So, but also part of that is, like all my stuff here, part of that is that when you're filming, depending on what you want to do with it in the end, you're having to decide whether you want a mono audio, which is what this is right now, one microphone, just you hear me and not a whole lot else. Stereo, which you have a left and a right channel, which gives people more of a sense of space and kind of what's around between left and right. And so I want to do a tutorial on that. And then the other thing I want to do is binaural recording, which is recorded with ears like this, because your ears change the way sound enters your head. It gets to your eardrums, it changes the timings, and based on how it changes the timings, it allows you to figure out where something falls, whether it's behind you, in front of you. I mean, it's way more complicated than that because it changes frequencies and all this, but I'm building this rig, and I'll do a video about it because it's not very expensive to build, but it's kind of a fun thing, where you can build this rig and it's binaural audio setup. And essentially, when I'm going to stick this on my top of my camera and film it, and it films or records in stereo audio. If you watch it with headphones, and especially if you close your eyes, it will sound exactly like you are sitting right where the camera is, looking at whatever the camera is looking at, because you'll be able to place things in space. So if there's a bird back here, you're going to hear it back here exactly like you would if you were in the space. And so part of the reason I want to take this, build this unit, one is I'm doing a review of some new equipment that's going to be on the market soon as it gets to me anyway. So that whole episode I'm going to shoot primarily using this unit here. I'll do a video about how to build this, but I'm going to shoot it using this unit here because I want to demonstrate how powerful audio is. And so when I do, I will be starting the video off by, recommending you watch the whole video with headphones because it will make a huge difference. So, but yeah, audio is crucially, I would say it's even more than half the equation of the video, as far as its importance and the role of it. And that goes into music, picking music, the types of music and all that. So that'll be a fun one. That might actually be one of the next videos I make, is how to build this little device and then running out and testing it. But I'm really excited about that. I think that'll be really, really fun. And then we'll talk about, how to get good audio in various locations, how to use lapel mics, shotgun mics, all that kind of stuff. But there's lots of information out there too. If you haven't checked out like DD Microphones YouTube, they do tons of tutorials and they're really good. And Curtis Judd does a lot of really great tutorials. So, but there's not a lot out there about like recording binaural stuff or mono stereo. At least I haven't found the videos where it's like, this is you sitting in this spot, recording it and listening to it in mono. This is how it sounds when you do the same exact shot, same exact place in stereo. And then this is how it sounds when you do the same exact shot, same exact space in binaural audio with my little clear silicone ears. These things are so weird, but because they're all like bendy and stretchy. I mean, they feel really, really close to real ears. It's really funny. Kind of cool. It'll be fun. Yeah. Journeyman. You hope that your model wasn't deaf in one ear. Nicely done, sir. Nicely done. Gunnar, yeah. So I put a poll up last week or 2 weeks ago. I think it was last week. Just asking people, because when I was doing it before, Saturday morning my time is a really poor time for most people. It's like midday Saturday, early evening Saturday. And that's like right smack in the middle of most people's weekends. So that's not the best time, not the most ideal time to do a live stream. It's just not. So I put a poll up and asked, like, would Friday night, Saturday night, or Sunday night be better? And by far, Friday night and Sunday night way outweighed Saturday. So that wasn't surprising. Sunday was like massively, heavily leading the charge Sunday night about this time for a while. I might play around with the exact time, like I might move it back an hour or ahead an hour, but something like this. That's true, Spy Hunter. And then Friday night was the other option. And actually, it was interesting because in the last few days on that poll on my channel, in the community tab, the Friday night started catching up to Sunday night. But for a while there, it was like Sunday night was just massively dominating that poll. And so, yeah, it's been fun. And I'm curious, for those of you who are on the stream here, how many of you use GoPros, hands in the air, and how many of you would like to see like how to get the best photos settings sort of tutorial for a GoPro video? Put your hands up in the air, or in the chat, as it were, because I've been considering doing one of those videos. And yeah, GoPro Hero 6. Okay, yeah. I think I might. And I know GoPro's going to release their GoPro Hero 8 really soon. I hope they get off their behind and innovate a bit. Or DJI is going to take them to the cleaners. So the major issues with the GoPro Hero 7 right now is that it locks up a little bit. It just, they need to do something. All right, Mark H. Got it. I'll do a GoPro. I actually was going to do it when I went out to Portage last week, and then just didn't do it. So thanks, Brian. You are on fire tonight. So yeah. Anyway, I'll probably do a GoPro thing. And Cardoso, you haven't used a GoPro since the Hero 4. So a friend of mine was actually one of the senior design leads on the GoPro Hero 4, and he and I have gone back and forth and discussed at great lengths the differences between the designs choices on the Hero 4 and the newer GoPros. And man, while they have made some advances, the stabilization is good. It's better. It's way better than it was. I mean, it was non-existent before, but it's really good. The problems in low light with the sensor, it really becomes apparent. And then the fact that because it's all touchscreen based, as soon as you take it diving, which it is built for that sort of stuff, and they have a dive housing for it and all that, you gonna get stuck because the touchscreen stops working because it's surrounded by water. And so having to set all your settings up beforehand when you go under is really, the thing is, if they added like one more button, you could deal with everything via button controls or touchscreen, and it would eliminate that whole problem. So it'll be interesting to see what GoPro does. I know that they had to have taken notice when DJI released the Osmo Action, because it was definitely a shot right across the bow of GoPro. And if they don't wake up and innovate and really start pushing, they're done. Even some of the really cheap, like the Yi action cameras, are really coming close. So, Gunnar, you move to the Action, you get the 8 if the reviews are good with the software. Yeah, and that's my main concern. So my buddy Keith, who flies the plane that I fly in with a lot, he's been in a lot of videos. Actually, I want to do a video about taking portraits with him, because anyway, long story. We took a lot of really good portrait shots one time, and he was the model, and it was really fun. It was all about really super dramatic, moody lighting for fun. Anyway, but his GoPro, he'll put it on his wingtip and film himself flying around, but it locks up a lot. And the only reason I can think of that it's doing that is that because it's having to work so much to stabilize the footage from the really micro shakes, because, I mean, you're flying through the air at 100 miles an hour. Everything is shaking. Is that it's maxing out the RAM and the processor, and so everything just locks up and it stops recording. And they have to solve that, because he's just fed up with it, and I would be too. Whereas the Action, like, I've stuck it on his wingtip and it has performed flawlessly. The only thing the Action needs, a few things, and then to me, like, it'd be the near perfect action camera. Just being able to adjust a few more of the settings, like sharpness controls, a couple other things like that, would be fabulous, and I'm sure they will in the next iteration, or even in a firmware update. So thanks, Mark. Yeah. So Mark, well, I know you watch Ken's show regularly. You probably saw the video of me chasing around Keith in his airplane with my drone. That was really fun. I've been really careful about putting that out there, just because I was really worried, if you get the drone police anyway, But the fact is, we did everything legally and safely, and so, and even the last shot where the plane comes up just right underneath the drone, when he and I were talking back and forth on the radio, just saying, okay, I've got the drone, I'm at 200 feet above ground level, 200 AGL, and I'm cruising along at max speed, 45 miles an hour. He came in low until he saw, he knew exactly, he saw the drone, once he spotted the drone, then I told him, you're free to go as close as you want, and just, I'm going to stay at this heading, at this height, and just cruise along. And so he came up underneath and got really close, because he was comfortable doing it, and he knew exactly where the drone was, and we were communicating really well. But yeah, it was really, really fun. I wouldn't try it any other time. That time just happened to work out really well, because pretty much all other small aircraft were grounded, because the president had flown into town to refuel and had grounded all of their small aircraft. And we knew that was happening, so we left at 5 a.m. to get out there, outside of the TFR, before it went into place at like 6 or 7, something like that. Anyway, hey bud, welcome to the stream. Troy, let me see. I will pull that up for you real quick, because I asked Keith to put it on his channel. Anyway, let's see. Hold on, it's coming. I'm going to pull up the link, and I'll drop it in the chat. Here we go. And he doesn't post much, but some of the stuff he posts is pretty cool. So that's the video link there, and that's Keith's channel. And, he posts clips of himself flying in places. He'll fly in places that are... there's not enough runway to land or take off with more than one person and very little fuel. So, yeah. Hey, Real Light, welcome. But yeah, it's a great video. That's the video that Ken played there. If you want to go watch it, it's great. I think I actually posted that video on my channel, but I left it unlisted just so Ken could get access to it to play it. But yeah. Anyway, it was great fun. It was also a little intense. And then if you see, like, there's a part where I was really high. I was like 700 or 800 feet up, but he was flying around the iceberg with this giant spire in the middle. And that iceberg was 400 feet tall. Because when I got the drone off the shore and was flying around the iceberg to kind of figure out where we were going to shoot, I was going up to the top to go, oh, this would be cool to get a kind of high up looking down shot, and 400 feet tall. And the thing is, you got to remember, icebergs, only 10% of the mass is above the surface of the water. The rest of the mass is below. Now, that could be spread out really wide like this, or it could just be a huge block of ice going deep down inside of the water, under the water. But anyway, it was really fun. And it's a 400-foot tall chunk of iceberg. It's just crazy. So that area, that glacier out there, is a much larger glacier than anything else, than most of the glaciers you see on this stream. It's the one that you see on the Ronin SC video where we're listening to it crack and we're like 3.5 miles away. And the crazy thing is, Bud, like at Portage and out there, the Colony Glacier, when you're sitting there and the glacier's really actively cracking and moving, some of the booms and cracks are so loud, but they're so low frequency-wise that you feel them more than you hear them. Like, you can feel it happen inside your body. It's a weird thing. It's like if you're standing in front of a really, really big subwoofer, and you don't really hear the sound as much as you feel it hitting you inside, and it's kind of like that. It's a really bizarre thing. I'm really glad to not be on and very close to or on that glacier when it's happening, because I can imagine. But a 400-foot iceberg won't fit in your drink glass? No, but it would stay frozen in your front yard for a very long time. So, and actually that is why people like, it sounds crazy, but people really like that ice. It stays frozen for a very long time because it gets so dense and the ice crystals get so large that they're just, it takes forever for them to melt. And so you can like chisel off a chunk of it and put it in your glass, and it will stay frozen in your glass for a really long time. So, yeah, but exactly, kind of like an earthquake in Illinois. Spy Hunter, possibly. It's been challenging lately, just purely because of work and life and other things. I don't. You might be able to hear it now, but I've been sick. A lot of my family's been sick the last few days, and so like I'm fighting it. I haven't like totally gotten sick yet, but I can feel like I've been pushing through, fighting it, taking tons of everything I can do to try and not get sick all the way. So, but yeah, and actually I think one of the videos I probably am going to shoot will be about going out to a glacier this winter and chopping off a chunk of ice, and the rest you will see, but you might like it, bud. Journeyman, have I heard anything about the Mavic Mini? Not other than what was leaked, the video of the little piece out there. I'm curious. I'm really curious to see what it does when it gets released. I mean, they have to have been working on, they have to have been working on a Mavic Air or Mavic Spark, not Mavic Spark, but Mavic Air or Spark replacement drone for a while. I think they're probably not in a big hurry to release it just because the consumer drone market has slowed down. It's cooled off a little bit, but there's still a market, and I think that eventually they'll release it. So other than what was out there, that it's really small, very lightweight, I haven't heard much, and I've been watching keenly because I'm very curious to see what it's capable of when it's released. The other one I'm really curious about is the Skydio 2, Drone 2. It looks to be a very different form factor from their R1. The R2 might be an amazing drone. And so I reached out to them to ask if they wanted to loan me one. Why not? You know, I reach out to a lot of companies, ask if they want to loan me something, and I'll send it back. And some of them actually respond. And anyway, we'll see. But I'm really curious to see what they come out with. I am all for other companies innovating and pushing the market on drones and cameras and lenses, just because it's gonna challenge everybody else, and competition is such a good thing for consumers. So Mark H, what do I see? Mavic Pro 2, Mavic 2 Zoom. So Mark, my opinion of the Mavic 2 Pro and the Mavic 2 Zoom are this: if you're gonna primarily shoot video and maybe some photos, then go the Zoom. The Zoom is great. The video quality is excellent. If you're going to shoot lower light stuff, then maybe go the Pro. But if you're primarily just wanting to shoot video and some photos, the Zoom is really good. And especially with the Zoom lens, I'm not so much into the whole vertigo effect, the trolley zoom kind of thing, or dolly zoom. But if you can, the nice thing about it is you can zoom into something with your drone and get some great footage without being close to it. So wildlife especially, they don't want you being close to wildlife and disturbing it with your drone. So being able to zoom in with still get a great 4K image would be really, really good. Now, if you're going to do video and low light stuff and a fair amount of photography, then the Pro all the way, because the Pro sensor is really, really great. So, but yeah. So if that was primarily what you're doing, I would look more at the Zoom, just because you're able to get a much closer shot, but still be farther away without disturbing the wildlife. So if I was shooting, and actually I've thought about getting the Zoom gimbal and swapping it out with my Pro every once in a while, especially for like when I would go out and film wildlife, but haven't done it yet. So that's it. Hot dog or brat? Brought all the way. I mean, if those are my choices. So, but yeah. So I'm curious to hear too what you all think of this new stream time. I know. Oh, really? Did DJI cancel the Phantom 5? Yes. Well, I don't know that they canceled it, but they've definitely put a stop on it. And they did put a statement out a while back, like 3 or 4 months ago, that they were basically they're like, we're not releasing the Phantom 5. And so, yeah, from what I've heard and what I've read, is they've just basically put a hold on the Phantom 5, or they're pivoting away from the Phantom model, and they're going to do something different that's more of the Pro level, between the Inspire and the Mavic, drone. Probably have some interchangeable lenses, but be a smaller form factor than the Inspire. And the Inspire is a great drone, but honestly, the Mavic 2 is so stable and so solid in the air. You watch an Inspire, it moves all over the place, just everywhere. So I think, maybe they'll update that drone too. But I think they put more of their R&D energy into other things right now, while the consumer drone market is kind of in a slow phase. So, Bud, what's my view of the future of consumer drones? I think we'll continue to see innovation with the image quality and the sensors that are put on the drones, maybe somewhat with the lenses too. So I think, the Mavic 2, obviously the next thing will be, they'll probably stick with a 1-inch sensor, but put maybe better glass, but also open it up to 4K 60 and maybe Cinema 4K, which is the little bit larger form factor. So, do something like that. But I think the biggest, probably where you will see the most improvement and the most R&D features being poured into is in the smart features of drones, both in the sense of like how it's careful, watches for objects and avoids collisions and communicates with other aircraft in the air as the ABS system comes online. And then, but also what it will do kind of natively for you if you want it to. I think they're going to put a lot of time into the algorithms and the smart features that drones have for what they can do. So that's what I think. Mark H, they're still selling Phantom 4s, no updates. Yeah, so, and that's the thing. I need to look into that. They restarted making the Phantom 4 Pro 2.0, but then I saw, was it toward the end of last week, where they're not selling them in the US, which is weird to me. But for a while there, the Phantom 4 was like, it's out of stock. Nobody had it. They're not making any more. And then I saw where they were starting to make them again. Good night, Spy Hunter. Thanks for joining me, man. And keep an eye on the other channel there. I'll be streaming over there at some point here in the next few weeks, probably. So, but yeah, so they restarted the Phantom 4 line. They're like making more, but they're not. I don't know. I think the drone industry was projected to have gone a lot further or done a lot more by this point than they thought. It's taking longer to kind of hit the market or grow to the point they thought it was going to grow than they thought it would. So, yeah, I think that's what it is. So, Troy, you like your Phantom 4? Yeah, I had a Phantom 4 for a while, and it's a great drone. The image quality is fantastic on it. But for what I'm doing, it was just too big to pack around and carry around. And so I can't fit it inside a kayak, and it takes up a fair amount of space in an aircraft. And then backpacking with one is just not, it's not that much fun. So, but when I had one, it's a really great drone. Really, really great. Really good image quality. So, and I like the fact that it had ADI mode with a switch is really nice. I wish they would do that in the Mavic 2 Pro, but alas, no dice. So, yeah, I think that I'm very curious to see what the new Skydio drone looks like when it comes out. I think that will have a ton of smart features and be really advanced algorithmically speaking. But more ice cave shots soon. Yeah, so I was talking about that earlier. They're still dripping. I've got my eye on 5 different ice caves right now that I want to go explore as soon as they stop dripping and they're safe to enter for the ice caves that are here. So I'm going to, jump into those. Probably be a month or 2 months-ish before they're really safe, so it'll be around there. But I've got my eye on 5 different ice caves that I'm going to go hit up. But I might, this coming week, if I have time, I might jet down and just, not poke my head inside, but just go to the entrances and just kind of see how they're shaping up. So, because I want to film a couple of tutorial videos and some more cinematic type videos with tutorial videos inside of a couple of those ice caves, because ice caves are fun for a couple of things. One, obviously it's a very different environment, but what you can do with light inside of an ice cave is really fun, because it's just you can do some stuff with light that's it's really fun. So I think it'd be cool, and it'd be a really neat place to show off how light can affect and add to photography or videos. So yeah, that's the plan. Ice caves coming up. Although that huge ice cavern that I flew my drone through last year is gone. That whole thing collapsed this spring. So, but so many ice caves in Illinois. I used to live in Missouri. I even lived in Wheaton for a very short time when I was in my teen years. So I know about the ice caves in Illinois. There are some caves there, some good caves, but they're very different from ice caves. So those will be fun. I'm looking forward to those too. I think those will be just some fabulous. So I'm kind of racing right now to try and get all of the the mountaintop, high range, high altitude type stuff that I've been wanting to do done before it starts snowing and before it gets too cold. So I hiked a mountain that's near here It's a mountain. It's 5,200 feet ish, but it's crazy rocky and anyway. But I did the whole thing in 2 hours, which was crazy. I should not have tried to do that in 2 hours anyway, but I did it, and I paid the price for it for 2 days. With my muscles were so sore, but it was phenomenal. Unfortunately, it was also super cloudy and super wet, so I couldn't film anything while I was up there. And but yeah, I might try and go back up there when it's a nicer day and I have a little more time, so I can go up and film a little bit up there. But yeah, I've been toying with the idea of doing a video where, like, shooting cinematic video with a phone and an A7 III and do the exact same shots in every shot, and then line them up and just see, just to show what your phone is capable of and how much the equipment matters less than what people think it does. Like, equipment should never be your limitation to making something great. I guess that's the best way to say it. If the equipment is your limitation, or you think the equipment's your limitation, then it's almost always more skill set that's the limitation than the equipment is. And eventually you'll run into a limitation of equipment, and that happens. But it's far later than most people think. So yeah, Mark, they are really, really good. But I live in Anchorage, Alaska, so that's home for me. And so near here are a lot of mountains, a lot of glaciers, a lot of really fun places to explore, including ice caves inside of glaciers. Yeah. So I think, Mark, once a phone company cracks the low light problem with phones, as far as getting really good quality low light video on a phone, that'll be it, man. It'll be hard to compete with a phone. There will always be a pro market. There will always be a need for high quality cameras. But once a phone company cracks being able to shoot great video in low light, then, I mean, I think I shot probably the first 20 videos on my channel with my iPhone 6 and a drone. And they're like, I shot, probably 50 or 60 videos before that using my iPhone and a drone. And it works great. But low light is the limitation. And some other stuff, like in my case, really cold temperatures really sap the power out of a phone battery really quick. So, but yeah, Troy, that's the problem with phones. It's the problem with GoPros too. Like any small sensor, like that's the struggle. I don't know where any of my, oh, they're way over there. But action cameras look amazing and look fantastic in really bright, sunny light. They look great. As soon as you get into low light, they tend to just fall apart. And hence why I have a really good quality full frame camera is in the winter, everything is low light, and ice caves are low light. And a lot of what I do is low light. So it's, that's primarily why I have a really good camera. So, Bud, you gave your wife the DJI Osmo Action on her trip. Yeah, it is a great camera. I mean, I hand the Action to my kids, and they run around and film stuff all day long. And they already know how to flip the screen so they can see themselves when they're filming. They know how to work all the settings and stuff like that. I have to remind them to stay on 1080p because they tend to fill up a memory card really quickly if they switch it to 4K. And they don't need 4K. But yeah, and they figured out slow motion. It's really fun. So Troy, it zaps your A7R2 batteries as well. Yeah, I am curious. So last year when I was using, these are the A7 III batteries, what are these? The Z100 MPFZ100 battery pack. These held up really well for me in the winter last year, much better than other batteries I've had. But like anything, cold it's just hard on batteries and equipment, so that's just kind of the way it is. Yeah, so with that, I'm gonna start wrapping up the stream here because it's been an hour. It's been a lot of fun, but I have to go because I have other things I gotta go do with the family today. But But before I go, I do want to hear what you all think of this streaming time. Is this a better streaming time for everybody? Would a little bit later or a little bit earlier be better? I mean, you can shoot me a message on Twitter or Instagram too, as far as that goes. Or go comment on the community tab on the poll and let me know what you thought of this time. I like this time better personally because I think it falls more in the timeline that's for everybody. So awesome, Troy. I'm glad you joined the stream. It was really fun chatting with you and hanging out. So, yeah. Thanks, Mark. Good time? All right. That sounds good. I think it's probably one of the better times for most people. So, good night, bud. Have a great evening. Sleep well. And have a good start to your week. Hopefully everybody's Monday goes well, and yeah, I will be releasing another video or two this week. Don't know what they are yet exactly. Got a couple of ideas, but I got to go out and shoot them at some point, and so yeah. But I always say this, and I want you to know, I mean it sincerely. I appreciate everybody who subscribes to this channel, who watches these videos, and who comments and gives me feedback and interacts with me on these streams. To me, it's just an absolute blast as to develop this community and do crazy things out in the middle of Alaska. It's really fun to hear all your feedback and comments and questions as we go down this path of life and the pursuit of great photography and videography. So thank you all for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for commenting. I will see you again soon in the next stream and probably in a video or two before that.